and welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi, talking extra loud because the microphone is blocked by this pile of games. Oh, I spoiled the conceit of the show.
You're just loud, Chris.
I am.
That's just the way it is anyways. So this is our Phil Walker Harding pile of games, part 2. And this is 2021 through 2023. That's a lot of games for like 3 years.
This is 3 years. This is as big as a stack that went back from, the start of his design career, basically.
This isn't even everything from 2023.
It's not.
We don't have Spellbook. Is there anything else coming out this year? I
don't believe so.
Okay.
So Phil Walker Harding being one of our favorite designers, we kind of mentioned that last time, makes a lot of very approachable, easily accessible games. Mm-hmm. And I think that this stack is no exception to that. But it's fun to see how many different companies, how many different publishers
he works with.
And
including his own publishing company now.
Which we'll get to that later, yeah. So, let's go ahead and kick off this one and let's get started. Starting off this stack is going to be Mr. Walker Harding's third outing with Lookout Games here with Llama Land. Llama Land is kind of a mix of his two previous games that they had done together, Barren Park and Gingerbread House, to the point where they kind of advertise that on the back of the box. They say,
do they really?
They do, yeah.
Wow.
New puzzle game by the designer of Barren Park and Gingerbread House. And this one really is kind of a mix between the two. You're doing the tile laying / tile stacking up like in Gingerbread House, but they're polyominoes like in Barren Park. What you cover up is stuff that you get. Kind of like in both games, actually.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then you're trading them in for sets to score the llamas. You put the llamas out onto the different areas of the board that kind of block you from building tiles up on there. So, yeah, this one was... I enjoyed every aspect of it. But I didn't love any single part of it so much, I don't think.
I think for me, I remember playing it being like, okay, I get why this is like this game, and it's like this other game. And I think at the end of the day, I was like, you took some of the best parts of both games, but I would honestly probably just rather play those other games. Yeah, but I really love Gingerbread House, and I really, really love Barren Park.
Sometimes it's a weird alchemy where you take the best parts of two different things, and it's not necessarily the best. And this is by no means like an Xbox pancake, like Andy Dwyer and Parks and Rec would say. But this is a solid game.
Yeah.
And I think that if you played this one first before the other two, Gingerbread Houses, I don't think
it might shine.
Yeah, you might be like, wow, this is great and so fun and punchy. And I would agree with all those things, but I think you're going to see more recycled mechanisms in this pile of games. And it's fair because he also put out this many games in 3 years, so you're going to see some recycling, but there's some instances later in the stack where I think that the recycling actually improves.
What it's done?
Yes. This is one that I thought was fine. It was pretty darn good. But I'll play the other two first.
There you go. That's Llama Land. All right, the next game we don't have a box of, but it is Explorers. This was also from 2021, and this was a Ravensburger game. Came in a little box, kind of this big. It was not huge. And it's a roll and write game, and so basically you're exploring around your explorers, and on every round, whoever's in charge of, I guess, first player or whatever it is, they flip over a card, and they choose one of 2 land types that they want to draw, like maybe 3 X's on. And so they get to explore out on that land type. And then everybody else at the table will also draw X's, and if they happen to choose the one that the first player chose, then they get less X's, but if they choose the other one, the opposing one, then they get more. And you're going around, you're exploring. There's a lot of set collection kind of stuff. You may need to get a key so you can open a treasure box. You're trying to go around to these different villages. There's fun, lots of little roll and writey things to do in this game.
You want to get different types of food all in the same round, the same 7 card flips, tile flips. You want to get these different things. You want to do them first. You want to do them quicker before time kind of passes. The big thing about this game was modularity. The 4 map tiles you play with are not only flippable and spinnable and stuff, but there's like a ton of them. And so you have a very different board each time. You can flip the frame. The set collection works a little differently. You have different bonus tiles you can move in and out. So for a flip and write type game like this, I thought that there's quite a lot of change up you can do, even though the core formula always remains the same.
To me, this is like one of the more Euro-y roll and writes that you can get, in the sense of it looks very generic. Like it is hyper generic looking, but I enjoyed it more than I enjoy some roll and write. So I felt like it stood out not from its appearance, but instead from its actual gameplay.
And it even feels like Kingdom Builder,
It does,
the roll and
yeah.
run game, but
Yeah.
it still is fresh and still good enough. Yeah, I like that
So
one.
I like that one quite a bit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Explorer's solid flipping right. Next up, this one will surprise me. This is also from 2021. Snakes.
Not on a plane.
3 S's. Oh, that's a better
Mm-hmm.
reference. This is a social deduction trivia game. This is probably the weirdest game in this whole pile.
That's the one I haven't played.
Oh, you haven't played this one?
I've not
yet?
played this one at all. I didn't
Okay.
even realize it was a Phil Walker Harding game. Like, I know that you guys have played it live multiple times on this channel.
Yes.
And I've never been around for it, but I just assumed it was some other designer. I had
No, it's
idea.
funny. So it's from Big Potato Games,
Mm-hmm.
and Big Potato makes a lot of party games like this, and this fits right into their line of games. And yet, I really like that this has a little clever twist to it. So every round, one person's the mongoose of truth, of course. One person at the table, unbeknownst to the rest of the table, is the snake. And then the other players are the normals, right? So whoever's the mongoose is shown so that you know they're not the liar. You flip over a trivia card. The one shown on here on the back of the box is, what is proven to attract sharks? Strobe lights, soy sauce, or heavy metal music? And so it's fun because everyone closes their eyes except for the snake, looks at the back of the card to see the answer, and then the snake is trying to make the people guess a certain answer. Mm-hmm. And so if someone sounds really sure of themselves, they're all like asinine trivia questions. Like, no one should know this. If someone's like, oh, no, I've heard this on the Discovery Channel, actually. You're like, you're probably the snake. Or you're not. I don't know. So it works. It's a trivia game that no one should know the trivia answer to, for the most part.
But you might be able to guess. I mean, I would guess loud music would not attract sharks.
Right.
But maybe strobe lights. I don't know. Because kicking feet in the sunlight, I read that was a thing.
Right.
That's my guess.
It looks like seals flapping in the...
Was I right?
Well, the snake says, trust me, the answer is definitely A. So, You're the snake. For the fact that it's a social deduction game and a trivia game, I thought snakes really works, actually.
That's interesting. It reminds me of Werewords, but less work.
Yes.
Like less, you have that same kind of trade or deduction. Interesting. Okay, off to summer camp. I have never been to summer camp. Like this kind of style summer camp. I've never done anything like that.
Heavens no.
It sounds like fun though.
We're from Las Vegas. You would die of heat stroke in 10 seconds.
You would. I did like little girls camp, kind of summer camps where you go for like 3, 4, 5 days or whatever. But anyways, this is a deck building game, and you can play with a few different, like there's different categories that you can add into each game. So there's a lot of modularity, which will be a theme of this particular stack, I think, for some of these. And so you have a few different themes that you can pick from. You say, hey, I want to work with the crafting cards and the gaming cards and the outdoor activities cards or whatever. But then you're just deck building. And the goal of all of this is to collect cards so that you can earn points and build a cool deck. And then you're trying to move along these 3 little tracks. And there's bonuses for racing to the end of one of them or getting to the end of all of them first. I mean, there's all these fun little bonuses and stuff. And there's some snacks you can trade in for things. And it's cute. It's very, very, very thematic.
I love the touches of theme that really come through. Your currency in this game for a deck building game is energy. So if you get snack bars, you can hold on to those for later and then have like a big purchase.
Yeah.
It's
cute.
It's such a good introductory deck building game.
You love this one even more than I do.
I really do. Yeah.
Like, I think this is fun and it's cute. And there's like a quaintness to it that I like, but I think you really, really liked it.
This gets a seal of excellence from me. I think it was on my top 10 deck building games list that we did not long ago, because I think it's that fun. It's that simple. I played it again recently when we went to Level Up Games on the road trip up to Gen Con. Taught it to a nice couple there. They had fun with it. I think that it's such a solid deck building game. It does all the things that are fun about deck building games and does it really simply. It's the distillation of what's fun about deck building into a smaller, approachable package.
Oh, okay, I can see that, yeah. So this is summer camp. I think that it was fun. I think it was cute and fun, and it definitely, you're like, hey, let's go canoeing. All my childhood dreams in a box.
We're so slick. All right. Tickle my throat, of course. So the 5th game from 2021 that came out was Neovil. We don't have a copy here, of course, but I will make the box image pop up. Ooh. So Neovil is sort of a spiritual follow-up to a game that we covered on the previous list called, what is the other on the previous list, that one was called...
What was that one called?
Cloud City.
There you go.
Checking my notes.
You got it.
So, also from Blue Orange Games, And it has the same kind of aesthetic and stuff to it. But rather than building a city in the clouds, instead of building the three-dimensional bridges, you're building up areas with tiles. Tiles have 4 different little landscape types on them. And then as you build up these landscapes, at some point you are going to grab a skyscraper. It's kind of a wager. And say, I bet that this grassland area here that I'm building up is going to be 10 spaces big. And if it is at least 10 spaces big by the end of the game, that's worth 10 points. And then another player goes and they say, I bet this water area is going to be 12 spaces big, and that's for 12 points. So you're trying to build up these tiles.
But you're bidding on that early because someone else is going to take that statue from you.
Exactly.
Or that tower or whatever.
Exactly. They're limited, so you have to grab them early, but, Then
you don't get points if you don't finish.
You don't get points if you don't finish them, so you're taking risks that the bigger ones are harder to do. I think this one was good. I think this one was good, but not as cool as Cloud City, to which it is very directly comparable because there's landscape tiles with 4 spaces on them, and it looks the same publisher and all that.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, it reminded me of Barren Park, but then it had that weird push your luck element, bidding ahead, and I didn't find that there were as many races going on as Barren Park. So in Barren Park, you have like the 3 objective races, but then you're also racing to get everything filled in, but also you're racing for some other things. Like there's just a lot of racing going on. Mm-hmm. Whereas this, I felt like you were a little bit more focused on those tower racing. And I know there's other ways to earn points, but it just didn't sing the way that Barren Park did.
Yeah, this is one that I think is good, though not great.
Yeah.
One that, like many of his games, I think that you should play with like kind of the advanced modules where you can also have the other little vehicles and stuff to score in rows and columns and other special ways. I think that makes the game more filled out, though this one's not my favorite. And I think the biggest problem is I can directly just say, no, I think you should play Cloud City instead, because the 3 layers of bridges makes that one similar, but so much cooler.
But at the end of the day, I'd still even just rather play Barren Park.
Well,
out of all 3 of those.
Yeah. No, so, Neovil, the last game that we have on the list from... Nope, not even the last game we have from 2021.
The lies. There's another 2021, and that is Super Mega Lucky Box. Super Mega Lucky Box. Super Mega Lucky Box. Super Mega Lucky Box. Super Mega Lucky Box in a box of rolling rights?
So how does the game work?
Anyways. I don't know why that song always pops in my head when I read this name title. I think it's because it's so long.
It is a ludicrously long title.
This is just a super short and quick roll and write game. You've got these 3 different cards in front of you, and there are these 3x3 grids. When you fill in a row or a column, then you get some sort of bonus. You may get moons, or you get, extra discount resources, or you get more numbers that you can then use to fill in other numbers. It's very quick. It's very fun. It's literally just a card flip and do what it says, and everyone does it instantaneously. But it is one that I think that its simplicity, it goes up to like 6 players. The combination has just made it a fan favorite.
It's such a teachable game because people understand bingo innately, and it feels so much like bingo, more than even other flip and write or roll and write.
It really does,
games.
yeah.
Because you're just like, 7. I have a 7, cross it off.
You can cross off any 7 you own.
Yeah, but then those bonuses for rows and columns, the choices of which cards to keep when you start a new round.
Yeah.
This very much is kind of a new approach on his design work in Silver and Gold that we covered in the previous video.
But much more simple. This doesn't have any of the polyominoes. You don't have to fill stuff in. You don't have to try to get palm trees. Like, it's so simple.
Now, Silver and Gold broke ground because that was the first time that I was like, you could have a roll and write game
on cards.
On cards! And then now that has definitely taken off.
I think that's
far
the thing.
More.
Is that probably, to me, is the only connection that I have with this in Silver and Gold. Everything else about this, I'm like, no, this is its own little game.
Yeah, it follows the same formula, the same idea very closely. But I think because this one's cleaner and simpler and so much more teachable, I come to this one a lot, and I have a lot of fun with it.
It says 20 minutes on the box, and I don't even know if it takes 20 minutes. Like, it can be very fast.
Yeah. All right, so that was Super Mega Lucky Box. Next up...
Now we're into 2022.
Now into 2022, the first game of which is Museum Suspects. As I said before, the first of his social deduction games was Snakes. This is his first, what I would probably call like a deduction game. This is a bit of a whodunit. Somebody stole the T-Rex bone from the museum. So which of this array of cute little critters here in this grid on the back is the one that did it? So this feels like some of the elements of Guess Who. There are different suspects wearing different types of hats, wearing different types of accessories with different background colors on their tiles. There are different animals each one. And you are going to have 8 randomized clues out there that are face down, and on your turn you can basically look at a clue, and it tells you what something is not. So, for example, it's not a person with a red background. I know that. I can cross it off on my sheet, but nobody else knows what I know now. The next player goes, they learn something else that it's not. It was not an octopus person. So in their private sheet, they're crossing off all the octopi. Now, what's weird about this one is that nothing actually tells you who it is. Each clue just keeps telling you who it's not.
So it could literally be none of your suspects.
It could be none of them.
And that is an answer. Like, you can answer that. You're like, nope, nobody's guilty.
None of the above.
Which is fascinating.
The least favorite option of every school test, right? All the above, none of the above. It could also be multiple people. Yeah. So what happens after every turn that you get a clue, you then are going to kind of make a wager on different people, different suspects out there. So there's a little bit of bluffing. And you're trying to kind of deduce based on what other players are doing and looking at. Like, I think Wendy knows that it wasn't an eagle. She hasn't been on a single eagle.
But also, none of her eagles have had goggles on. So, what if it's just goggleless eagles?
Yeah. So this is like Clue, but so much faster, so much snappier, a little more to it. I'm really impressed with this one, actually. This is his third game from Blue Orange Games.
This was another one that I didn't know was Phil Walker Harding when I played it. Like,
it really
surprised me. I was like, oh, a deduction game, cute. Oh, this is Phil. Okay. It just doesn't feel like a lot of his other games.
It does.
It feels fresh.
We were talking with Tom, so obviously his output in these 3 years increased
greatly.
Enormously, as he became a full-time game designer. And while there are more games that I feel like are like the Neovils and the Llama Lands, where I'm like, oh, those are good, kind of rehashes, didn't love them. This one I really loved because it feels so fresh and so different. So I think there's still a lot of great gems like that you see in these last 3 years here. So Museum Suspects being one of those that I liked a lot.
That's fun. Planted is one that I really liked a lot as well. This one, I mean, production shines on this so much. It has got beautiful tokens, these suns and these water drops and these little fertilizer cans. So production's beautiful. But this is a drafting game, which I appreciate that he does like to have these shorter, snappier, quicker games. And so having something like a drafting game where you are basically building this nursery and you're trying to feed your plants. And as you feed them, you get points. But also there's other little ways to get other cards that can get you points too. You'd be like, hey, I get this card that gives me points for all my hanging plants. So every hanging plant that I have fed at the end of the game. Cool. And then you get some tools that help you get more resources or more abilities or whatever it is. So there's lots of fun stuff going on. And I just feel like this was good. This was a very good, solid one.
Well, and the production value on it was
so high.
Bananas.
Especially for the price.
Yes. Well, which is the same thing that can be said from the other game from Buffalo Games of his that we covered, Summer Camp. I think that the production on both of those is really solid. This one has great pieces that feel upgraded out the box.
They really do. Like, we've had so many people at our conventions be like, ooh, is that a Tom upgrade? Nope. Standard. Came standard with it.
Yeah.
The $30 ticket price, I think, is what it was originally.
Yeah, something
very affordable.
Ballpark.
Yeah.
Beautiful game. What is the full name of the game?
It is Planted Phil Walker Harding.
A game of nature and nurture.
Oh, it's on the bottom.
In these 3 years, Phil Walker Harding decided, I can make games with ludicrously long titles. The fame went to his head.
It's just Planted, Chris.
It's fine.
What everybody calls it. Another ludicrously long title.
My Shelfie. This one was one that worried me a little bit because the title and the premise of it is so meta.
Oh, I was excited about this one.
Yeah, you're filling in shelves. What's kind of cute about this one, you are filling in shelves, and they are these kind of 3D Connect 4 looking shelves. It's not just about collecting board games, which I appreciate. Board games as a category. But you're trying to fill up these shelves with different categories of things, including cats. If you're a person who just hoards cats to put them in your Calyx shelf, rethink your life choices.
Are they statues of cats or actual cats?
Actual cats. 100% guarantee.
Maybe the cats like boxes, Chris. We know this from the internet.
That's fair. Certainly not from cat research that we have done in our secret laboratory.
We're allergic to cats.
My Shelfie has a little bit of a drafting system from the middle of the board. There's just a whole array of tiles, and you can kind of grab from the outside 1, 2, or 3 of them, but they all have to be accessible from the start of the turn. And it's one of those where as you start collecting more tiles, different tiles become accessible to other players, and then you drop them down this, like I said, Connect 4-esque shelf system. The production on this is really sweet. Like, it's really neat that it looks so good. I love seeing all of the cardboard pieces fall into place, and you're trying to make groupings of them. You're trying to match different objectives, scoring in multiple different ways, racing towards different things. Things that I think we kind of first saw in, like, Barren Park, but that it's not that a mechanism is recycled, it's just that the idea of mixed incentives, diverse incentives, has been used in a lot of his games.
And I love that in games. I'm a big fan of I want to race and get everything, but I can't, so I have to choose and just try to really prioritize the ones that are important to me, the ones I think I can do first.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. This is so picturesque. Like, because you have that game board standing up, it's not flat in front of you. It is just very visually appealing for people that like that part of their games. To me, I could honestly care less about how it looks a lot of the times, but I could definitely see that being a big pull for people. I also, because I do tend to care less, I'm one of those people who I put my books in any which way. My cats will be upside down, like it doesn't matter.
Drives me bananas!
It drives everybody so frustrated when I play the game. But I just don't care. I'm like, my pinks are in where my pinks go. The other thing is that this has some tightness to it. So as Chris had said, like, unlocking those spaces makes it kind of tight because you're like, I can't get the freaking space I want. Like, someone else needs to unlock that so that I can take it. Otherwise, someone else is going to take it. And then when you're putting them in, you can't just be like, I'm going to put this one in this column and this one in this one and this one in this column. Like, you have to put them all in the same column. And so it's tight. You're like, maybe I don't want all those colors together.
So do you slow roll it to get only one at a time and to get the perfect color mix?
But then someone rushes the game and suddenly it's over and you're like, I scored one area. Oops. Yeah, it's really good.
First outing of his with Cranio Creations. I think they did a great job with it. I'd love to see more from that combo.
There we go. Monolith 2022 still, and this is with Simon. He did Giznos with Simon. Did he do anything else with them?
Nope.
Spell Book this year was through them.
No, that's...
wasn't?
No, that's Space Cowboys.
You're right, it was Space Cowboys.
Yeah, once again, another publisher on the list.
Here's another very... tactile. I mean, that's something we know from Simon, is that they really like to have their pieces. So this is basically like a 3D patchwork is kind of how I feel about it. So you're building this cube in front of you out of these like 3D polyomino pieces, but you're collecting them kind of the way you do in patchwork, as in there's a rondelle around the outside and wherever the open space is from what someone grabbed last, that then you can pick like the first 3 in front of that space. And you're like, okay, I can pick one of these 3. Or I can make a bid, like in Neovil with the little statues. You can say, hey, I think that I'm going to have, 10 reds together, or 10 oranges, I don't know what colors they have, 10 teal together. And if by the end of the game, like, there's 10 teal that are all touching and showing, cool, I will score that. And so you're trying to make these bids while at the same time building your actual monolith, which I think is cool.
I think just the building the cube part is that, like, block is 3D.
Yeah.
That anyway, there's games that use those 3-dimensional super polyominoes, and that's already tricky. But then, to have to try to match your bids. This is one of the instances where I think that the reuse of the mechanism from Neovil is stronger.
I liked it a lot more in this, and I don't know if it's just easier to meet the objectives because you're less boxed in, even though you're literally creating a box. I'm not sure why, because I haven't played Neovil in so long. But I remember really, really, really liking Monolith. Like, it surprised me how much I enjoyed it.
Maybe you're saying that Neovil felt a little flat.
You're terrible.
I am terrible.
That's okay, I'll keep you. But yeah, so Monolith, it was a big win for me. Like, I really appreciated it.
Played this again, taught it to a couple people who love Phil Walker art and games and had not played this one yet, and it just felt so cool to make those choices, using the patchwork type thing where you can move a certain number of spaces forward, and it's a little bit of that kind of, I'll go one space because I know I'm setting you up in a way that's going to set me up, but what do I do with the piece that I grabbed anyway? There's some really good choices. So yeah.
I think this is one of those recycle mechanisms that worked out for Phil.
I agree. In 2023, his output slowed down.
Hey, that's this year.
A little bit, yeah. We're now in 23, right? But part of that is because he started up a company with his wife, Meredith. and they created Joey Games. And so you can see the word Joey pointed straight at the camera, I notice. And it came out with a trio of games that were kickstarted and came out this year. He started the company back in 22. So this is the first of the 3 that we had played, which was Pass the Party Foods. This is a children's co-op game. All 3 of the Joey games are...
they're all children's games. In fact, on the box, I think they say 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, so this one's
recommended
age
ages.
7+, and this one I think is the simplest of the 3. It's also, for me, kind of the least interesting because you are drawing party foods one tile at a time, and then you choose basically one to go to the player on your left, one to the player on your right, one to yourself, and you kind of choose in that order. And then you set out the party foods, and you're trying to collect a certain number of them and advance the winning track. There's a dog, which is your opponent, moving down that track as well.
He's like stealing all the party food. He's like eating it as you're setting up your party.
He's trying to dive into the birthday cake for your kid before your kid gets to eat the birthday cake. He's the true villain of the story. All dogs do not go to heaven. Not the dog in Pass the Party Food. He has a straight ticket on the other
On the doggy
one.
train?
Yeah. The other place.
You're going to get so much crap for that. Chris hates dogs!
I hate this dog. No, it's a cute theme.
I think the thing is that it is a very, very good beginner co-op game. So this teaches that cooperative skill. This teaches a lot of that reasoning behind it. So I wouldn't put this at 7. I'd put this at more like 5.
I think so, yeah.
Like this is
age 5+.
Yeah, age 5+, because to me this is a simplified co-op game. This is a, hey, let's work together. There's literally like 2 things that your child's looking at, and we'll talk them through them a couple times, and they can start making their own decisions pretty early on.
Yeah.
So I think this fits with that 7+. I don't understand why that's the age. But other than that, I thought it was cute.
I thought it was cute. The biggest thing I could say is because Joey Games, the word Joey, right, being such an Australian thing, and the party foods in this game are traditional little party foods.
They are.
The fairy bread and the ringlets or the green snakes and stuff. Like, it'd be cool to be an Australian kid and to see your like favorite party foods that you probably don't get to see in lots of other TV and whatnot, like represented in a game. I think that'd probably be my favorite part.
I also would love to see a hostess game. Where's the cream filling, Chris?
Well, that's true.
That's
Zebra
next,
cakes is where it's at. I'm all about the zebra cakes.
You're not about the snowballs, though, because those have coconut. Let's talk about all the things Chris hates. Scribbly Gum is not one of them.
Okay.
So here we go. This is the next one on the 2023 Joey Games list. Scribbly Gum is another roll and write. I feel like I've gotten all the roll and writes so far of the bunch.
And not a single one of them is actually technically a roll and write. They're all flip and write.
They're all flip and writes, yeah.
They're all fill and writes.
They are. That's what I like. That's what I really like, actually, about a lot of his roll and write games, is that because their deck of cards, they're balanced. You're not just going to get random stuff all the time. So you know you'll receive the things that you're going to get. And a lot of times he pulls out cards, so you don't know perfectly what's going to be the last card, but you can narrow it down. You're like, okay, I have a 50-50 chance of getting the thing I need. Or I know it's just gone and it's fine. I'll move on. I'll do something else. So in this one, you have everyone has like a paper in front of them, and they're trying to make these little connections, and you're just moving around, connecting, collecting things. What are you collecting? It's like
the different
honey
fruits.
and water, or like honey fruit, and I don't even know what all this stuff is.
I think it's like 3 different
drops,
types of fruits that this specific type of Australian worm eats.
Oh, okay, yeah.
As it's maturing.
So he's getting all these fruits, and you're having, once again, multiple races. So you're trying to get them evenly across because you unlock bonuses, but then you also are trying to get really far down certain tracks, because if you get lower to the bottom, you can get some extra points. And so there's just fun little things. The cards are like, go up, go down, go left, go right, or there's some squiggly paths, and you can go on a squiggly path. So it's cute, it's simple. It says 6+, and would you leave it at 6+, or do you think it's more of a 7?
It's so playable as a young kid. This is a really great kids' first roll and write game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, 6+ is probably right, but I mean, if you're playing for blood, you will crush your child.
You will. That's the thing, is there's like 3 different ways that you do some scoring in this. And the first time I taught my daughter, she didn't fully get all 3 scoring, and so she got a little frustrated with it. But then she's played it again since then, and I think she liked it more.
I really like this one.
Yeah.
As a very simple roll and write style game, flip and write game, I think that one's tremendously fun. I've actually played it solo a few times just because it's so little charming and light, and I just kind of want to see how good I do. I think that's an anomaly that I like this one as much as I do. But I think this one's really solid.
I think it's cute. I think it's cute for, my first roll and write kind of thing.
The last one here, this is the most advanced of the 3 Joey games. This one is called Busy Beaks. As you can tell, all 3 of the Joey games have focused on Australia to some degree or other, right? The specific type of worm that I forget, the party foods. And this one is about Australia's different birds, namely the kookaburra, I believe, is like the most popular
Lives in
one.
the old oak tree.
And so this one,
right?
I don't know.
It is.
You know songs I've never heard of before. Your mom was weird.
My mom liked
Your mom was
camp
really,
songs.
Really weird.
She
So,
likes camp songs.
Busy Beaks is a bit of a card drafting game where you're trying to then set collect, and as you collect sets of the same type of bird, you can trade them in for egg tokens, and you get more egg tokens as you do at first. But you can also play these cards instead of trying to collect them in order to be able to grab different types of birds from out there. So they have different powers. Much like with summer camp, you choose a certain variety of them and you mix them together for that particular game.
Mm-hmm. This one really spoke to me. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this because to me the bird theme is fine. I like birds. I actually owned a bird when I was a kid that looked just like that one right there. That little parakeet kind of looking thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What was his name? Oh, I forgot what his name is. Anyways, I had that bird when I was young enough that I barely remember.
That one
It's
right
in pictures.
there.
He's in pictures. But I surprisingly liked this. Yeah, that challenge of, ooh, okay, I've got 3 of this kind of bird, but also I want that special ability because I have 2 more to these other kind of birds and there's more of those out. So I'm going to give up one of my 3 to get this other thing. Like, they're just fun. They have fun powers. There are definitely certain combinations that didn't work as well together because they were all kind of like, they made it feel kind of mean or hard to get birds.
Yeah.
But then but there's plenty of good ones, and so I think you just have to be a little careful with your mix.
Yeah.
But I liked it a lot.
You really did. Yeah, you've taught this to a lot of people who all have kind of come away from it really enjoying it,
I convinced Tom to put it in the library, at least temporarily, so that was something.
No, I think this is a solid game. I think it's good. Of the 3, I think this is the most robust. But I really like Scribbly Gum. Kind of the way that you find yourself really liking this one.
I also feel like this one is not a kid's game. Like, it says 8+, and I might put a 10 on it because it is just more advanced. We played it with our daughter, and she got really frustrated with it. I think it was too much for her, and she's just about 8, so she's, 7.5 at the time?
Yeah.
And she's a gamer, and so she plays a lot of, 10+ games. So this surprised me with the age they put on it. So I would not disregard this because it's a kid's game, because I feel like it's more than a kid's game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's more, I think the cover and the design of it.
Looks like a puzzle.
It looks like a puzzle that you picked up from a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one is, I guess, the most robust of the games, and so I still recommend this one a lot.
Also, that much white space would make a terrible puzzle. Don't make your puzzles like that. Okay, last one. Oh no, Volcano! This is the last one from 2023 that we have so far. And this is a fun, cute kid one.
It's the third one from Buffalo Games. I just realized.
It is. Also really good production. So you have this whole mountain that you have built up, and you're these little climbers, and so you've got a hand of cards and you play them, and they let you climb up this little mountain. And there's little holes and gates you can crawl through, tunnels and stuff, and pop out other places. And you're trying to get these gems. There's gems spread around it, and once you get enough of a certain amount of gems, you win the game. Yay. But there's all of these, it's a volcano and it's actively erupting, right? So you're dropping these rock slides or these little marbles down and you're knocking each other off.
You're plinkoing, baby.
Which sounds really mean, except when you get knocked off, you get way better cards than you can normally draw. So you're like, man, my guy's still there. I want him to get knocked off so that I can get a better card, so I can get better gems. So it's fun. It's not mean at all. It doesn't feel mean, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's funny. So you don't get to just choose whichever one based on the card that you played. You drop the rock or the marble down like a specific numbered flume kind of a thing.
And just like Plinko, it goes any which way, so you'll knock yourself down sometimes. You'll knock other people.
Absolutely.
Or you'll just miss.
It's one that I think that it, even though you have to assemble a little bit of the fixture of it each time, it's not in such an annoying way. It's a good, silly, fun game.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the same vein as you'll see soon or recently a video that Tom did on Beat the 8-Ball. Like some of those things that are almost more toy than game. Mm-hmm. This one almost straddles that line, but it is still a game more than some of those activity-based ones and stuff.
I think that's the thing is you have to go into this not not planning to, I can't Euroify it at all. Like, I have to go into this wanting dumb, stupid fun, and then it's a cute 7+ kids game.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the last of this particular pile, and may many more games come to fill up a third pile. You know, in 2 weeks, we'll have 12 more games to go through.
Probably.
So, yeah, Phil Walker Harding, one of our favorite designers. Very grateful that we've had the chance to play so many of his different games.
For sure.
And like I said, in these last, of this last bunch here, I still think that there's a few great standouts that I really enjoy. I really enjoy Museum Suspects. I think that's one of those that, once again, because it looks like a kid's game, I think it's kind of relegated to like kid's game kind of thing. Some of the same thing with the
Busy Beaks,
Busy Beaks and some of those. So ones that I would say maybe you should keep an eye on if any of those sounded interesting to you.
Well, I think it's cool that some of these have also gone through Target, so they're hitting that little bit more mainstream kind of feel. And I think that's exciting to have that mix of both that Phil gets. That he's like, hey, some people will find me this way through a store, and other people will find me because they love my games and... they want to go seek out Joey games.
He's one of those designers that absolutely, I think, should be sold in Targets and big mass markets. Sushi Go alone.
So approachable, yeah.
Exactly, right? And it's fun to see that even all these years later, he's still making games about as approachable. Some of them a little more robust, but still stuff that I would say you could probably go buy any of his games on a whim and not struggle figuring it out and having fun with it.
For sure. Well, thanks for joining us today for our pile of Phil Walker Harding. I'm Wendy Yi.
And I'm Chris Yi.
Go make your own piles of games.